Why is it so uncommon for games to have simultaneous worldwide releases? We're going to try to find the answer to that today on Tiny Voices. At the time this video goes up, there will be only 6 days left until Dark Souls 3 comes out in the West. Reviewers have gotten their copies now, social influencers, i.e. YouTubers and streamers, have been streaming and putting up videos of the game, and Japanese players have been playing this game for weeks. But most of us in North America and Europe have nothing to do but sit on our hands and try to avoid spoilers until the game comes out next week. The thirst has been so real that people have found a loophole to play the game in English early on the Xbox One. Basically, the full English menu text, subtitles, voice acting, etc. were already available in the Japanese version of the game, so some clever folks found a simple way to switch their accounts to the Japanese region, purchase some prepaid yen cards, and buy the Japanese version of the game. They then just switched the console back to English, and lo and behold, English Dark Souls 3 became available early. They've long since addressed the loophole, but plenty of people were able to pick it up and play it early, and no negative repercussions have come of it. And this is the inevitable result high demand and staggered release dates breed. So today we're going to take a look at some of the reasons why this happens. And just as an aside, this is only going to be a look at minor staggering of release dates. This isn't going to be a video about the delays that can be caused by, say, localization, as is often the culprit behind really long delays between regional releases like Arc System Works and their turbulent relationship with Europe. So in the case of Dark Souls 3, FromSoft and their new parent company, Kadokawa Games, probably wanted a sales boost to cap off their fiscal year, which ended in March. Since FromSoft and Kadokawa shoulder the burden of publishing the game in Japan, whereas Namco Bandai publishes their games in Europe and North America, the two companies have slightly different financial incentives driving their release date scheduling. From and Kadokawa had a driving interest in getting Dark Souls 3 out before the end of March, whereas Namco Bandai did not. That might be one explanation that fits this one specific circumstance of release date staggering, but something else that's all too common is the several-day gap between European and North American game releases. Specifically, games often come out on Fridays in Europe and Tuesdays in North America. So why is that? Rock Paper Shotgun, in a well-known article campaigning against this kind of release date staggering, once speculated that this is due to tradition in the retail space. That speculation might not even be that far off. I spoke to Mike Schramm of Electronic Entertainment Design and Research, and he told me that, quote, "It's more traditional at this point than anything else, as far as we can tell. Traditionally, projects finish and ship at the end of the week, so placing a launch on Tuesday in the US allows retail stores to get the product they need and set up whatever's necessary to put a product out. Putting the launch earlier in the week also allows companies to maximize their first week sales and keep attention going up through the relative news lull on the weekend." That bit of wisdom might well hold true for Europe's traditional Friday new releases as well. How those days became traditional release days is another issue entirely. Eurogamer ran an article in 2012 trying to uncover the origins of the Friday release date, and they found out a few interesting tidbits. Large chains like Dixon's were unhappy coming out of the 8-bit era about the prospect of dealing with haphazard release dates any longer and being stuck with stock turning up late after they bought ad space in Friday and Saturday newspapers. So these retailers worked through their supply chains to make sure that products were released on Fridays, so they could include them in their new release ads on Fridays. Quote, "It was basically retail bringing order to a very chaotic supply chain. Within about 6 to 8 months, everyone was selling things on a Friday. It was very quick to reach that agreement and understanding." End quote. That was Graham Struthers of Dixon talking to Eurogamer. Meanwhile, North America settled into its own release date groove with Tuesdays for slightly different reasons. Noted analyst Michael Pachter told Eurogamer that, quote, "It started with music, then VHS tapes, and DVDs. Retailers were very slow to stock shelves, so distributors asked for entertainment products to release on Tuesdays so retailers could have them in stores by Friday when consumer traffic picks up. New games were essentially lumped in with the Tuesday release of other popular products because they were stored together in the same warehouses and shipped out on the same trucks as CDs, VHS tapes, and eventually DVDs. Lumping them together streamlined the distribution model. There might be one additional reason why Tuesday became a new release day for the North American video game market, and it goes back to Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Al Nilsson and Madeline Schroeder of Sega's marketing department were spinning their gears trying to figure out how to promote the release of Sonic 2. Sega had massive expectations for the sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog, and they needed a foolproof plan to guarantee the game's success. What they came up with was Sonic Tuesday, November 24th, 1992. Sega worked to coordinate a massive simultaneous global release for Sonic 2. This happened to land in an era just after publishers and suppliers had settled on Friday in Europe, but just before a similar order was brought to North American retail. Had Sega pulled a similar marketing stunt just a few years prior, we might actually have global release dates being fairly commonplace. But as is, Sonic Tuesday helped to cement Tuesday as the traditional new release day date in North America. Before we cap this one off, I just want to add an aside about a couple of additional counterpoints that Mike Schramm made to me when he pointed out that there are actually a couple of pretty valid reasons against global launches. He told me that some mobile developers will publish their games in smaller markets like New Zealand as a beta and then publish the game in the US when it's ready to ship. Additionally, publishers with certain regional sales expectations might publish their game in one region first as a litmus test to judge whether or not the sales expectations are realistic for each region, and they will then adjust the release dates accordingly. Anyway, hope that shed a little bit of light on why staggered release dates by region are still a thing. Next time, we're going to be taking a look at option paralysis. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one.